Before I start, don't forget to check out Young LA for more cool football shirts like this. They've also got gym gear, going out clothes. I wear them all the time. You see them on my Instagram, and you can get 15% off when you use my code TRUE. That's TRUE, all block capitals, all one word at checkout for 15% off. Lots to talk about today, lads. We got obviously England, a little bit of the other World Cup sides, and then some transfers which are making me quite miserable. That's going to be the difficult bit today. We're going to do that at the end. We'll save the worst for last. Start with England. Good to get off to a winning start, but we did concede a couple of goals, boys. Should we do the negatives? What negatives, what worries would you come away from last night with after watching England's first game?
I'll start off. It's got to be the defence. This is a defence that doesn't have the experience of playing together, that doesn't have the experience of going to tournaments together, and therefore, obviously, you've got players like John Stones who, I would say, are kind of being shoehorned into the lineup to gain that experience. I don't think that having him complements a Nico O'Reilly all that well, who I do think will play there each and every time. So I think that the defence needs working on, whether that's a case of bringing Mark Gahey in there and having him next to Konsa. But I think as the games go on, we're going to see a little bit more sturdiness from them, as we did see in the qualifying.
I don't want to be disrespectful. Croatia are a good team. And I mean, every time they came forward, they looked like they're going to score. I'm looking at the Frances and the Germanys of this world, and I'm thinking about them knockout games later in the tournament. And yeah, I mean, something's got to change there because, to be fair, like, the defence has got good protection in front of it. In terms of Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice, you can't ask for much more than that in terms of like protecting a defence. Quite surprised he didn't start. Was anyone else quite shocked by that?
I'm really shocked at that. I mean, I'm shocked that Lewis Hall isn't even in the fucking squad, even with an injury to Livramento. He's not even in the, like, I don't know what the fuck this kid's done. The idea that a Lewis Hall shouldn't even be in the squad is an option if O'Reilly, because they're both young lads. Young lads have bad games every now and then. You need other options sometimes. Having Lewis Hall and Gahey in that side would make a lot of sense to me.
Let's be honest though, mate. Dan Burn would have been a much better deputy anyway, so I don't even know what you're going on about. And when Lewis Hall starts up on the left-hand side for Chelsea, I think you're going to be a lot more quiet. To be honest, I think it's only because he's a Newcastle player. We'll get to that. All right. Can I just say on my negative, if I just do this, I'm going to show you, I'm going to do a pose, and you've got to tell me who I'm talking about here, because I thought this was the worst player on the pitch.
Yeah. He was fucking terrible. Anthony Gordon.
Was he playing?
Mate, he signed for Barcelona and everyone's watching him now. Like, and what's so funny is he threw up countless stinkers for Newcastle last season that he got away with because no one gives a shit about Newcastle other than Newcastle. But when you sign for Barcelona and you are representing our country out there, all of a sudden the level has to go up. And every time he gets the ball, you see a lack of technical ability there. Yes, he runs well off the ball, but this guy spent about 4 years being coached by Eddie Howe to do running off the ball and not actually what he does with the ball. And when that ball came to Rashford and he cuts in and he scores, it does more in 5 minutes than Gordon had done in 70 minutes. I know for a fact Anthony Gordon does not score that goal. He does not have that ability to do that. And that's where Barcelona fans, and it's not, not transfer yet, but they must be thinking, what the fuck have we gotten Gordon for when Rashford's the technical one? And I actually think that Gordon should be dropped for the next game.
I would say so too, to be fair. I think that the main thing that made me ask a question, has Thomas Tuchel on purpose gone a little bit under strength here, was the winger selection before the game. When I saw Anthony Gordon starting off on there and then Madueke over on the other side, who, to be fair, listen, there's many mixed opinions on the game that Madueke had. I think that one of the reasons you'll get a more positive one was definitely what was going on over on the other side with Anthony Gordon. Yeah. But it's the most I've seen an England team play sort of progressive and encouraging football this early on in the tournament in my lifetime.
So that brings us on to a positive. Half time, the team talk seemed to be more aggressive, risk more, go forward more, things that we would never have heard from Gareth Southgate. And Tuchel definitely had an impact on this game in giving the players the lack of fear to lose. He says, if we're going to lose, let's lose how we play football. And I think that's the exact opposite of what these lads have been told in previous competitions. Now, there's pluses and minuses in that the cautious side of Southgate kind of scraped us through games that maybe we may not have gotten through if we had been a bit more gung-ho. But also, let's be honest here, we didn't really play that many great sides, until we got eventually beaten under Southgate. Where I think Tuchel gives you more more of a chance against the big punchers, and that kind of showed in this game.
We literally lost to this Croatia team in 2018. This is the level of team that would give Southgate teams problems. I'm sure someone will remind us in the comments of this, but I can't remember a kind of half-time where Southgate re-energized an England team to come out like that.
To your point, Jacob, let me just read this out. This is the first time in 24 years England have defeated a top 15 ranked team at the FIFA World Cup.
There you go. And basically, it was the team talk, the subs as well. And look, you got to say, the one thing we've got in this squad is options in terms of attack. You can bring on a Morgan Rogers, you can bring on a Bukayo Saka, even on one leg, he can impact a game. But that 20 minutes in the second half, I don't know about you boys, I don't remember watching an England team play with that level of attacking intensity. And it wasn't that long. It was like 20, 25 minutes that we were just banging on the door. But I'm sat there going, I don't remember us doing this.
And that's why I think someone was pulling up Elliot Anderson's stats and saying his pass completion rate was low. Well, he attempted quite a few of these creative passes. I would rather a pass completion rate in the mid-80s, but that player have got an assist or something like that, than of us to have not seen goals in a game like this. I'm confident that going on the back of that second half performance and going on the back of what Tuchel will have learned, if this is a taster for his first game, I'm confident that the level up is going to be seen within the next few matches. And I think that it will probably be most visible when we do face some of the better sides.
How confident are you lads now that we can go on and win this tournament? Like, what chances do you give us?
I'm looking at it now and I'm going to semi-final would still be a success. When you look at the other competitors that we've got in the World Cup now, I look at the France squad, I'm still worried about them. I look at other teams and still worried about them, to be fair. So I personally would see the semi-final as a success. But
when I look at that starting lineup, Harry Kane, one of the best strikers in the world right now, Saka, Champions League finalist. On the other side, you've obviously got Anthony Gordon, who just went to Barcelona for a massive fee. Rodgers going to go to Arsenal for a massive fee. Jude Bellingham, one of the most recognisable players in the world. And then Rice for 100 million to Arsenal. Anderson's going for 120 million. If you're talking player for player and transfer value, and maybe this is down to English players costing a bit more, but like, we've got some serious firepower here. I don't know if there's any way in which I don't look at not winning this as anything other than a failure.
If you flip the question and you say England in 2026 are good enough that we can leave Phil Foden and Cole Palmer at home, then I think a semi-final, or being happy with a semi-final, is fairly unambitious. I'll lay my flag in the ground now. I think England are probably going to win this tournament. I am not it's overexcited off the back of one game, right? I went into this one with my expectations at an all-time low, and what I saw last night is enough to give me a very clear indication. Look, if we're looking at the Epsom Derby and you're going to back a horse and you don't want to back the favourite, I'm normally going to back the one that's finishing around second and third every single time. And if all of a sudden that horse has a spring in its step, I'm going to be a little bit more certain. I think law of averages and the flipping performance that I've seen in terms of being a little bit fearless could see us go out in the round of 16, but it could see us batter a few teams. I'm talking Brazil along the way, who I think that we would absolutely turn over at this moment in time.
I love that. I love it.
I think that if you look at the likes of Argentina, I think they look brilliant, but I don't put them, the holders, as a team that I'm really, really fearful of at this moment in time. As much as Messi looked brilliant in that game, I'm looking at the likes of the Spains and the Frances of this tournament as the ones that can really trouble us. Brazil's, Argentina, Holland, Germany, Portugal even, I'm not that worried about them, to be honest.
All right, on to transfers, boys. Morgan Rogers to Arsenal is heating up. Jacob, thoughts on that? Is that, we said you needed to go big this summer in firepower. Is he the answer?
You look around the market and you're like, what is there? Do you know what I mean? And Morgan Rogers,
you don't seem that enthusiastic, mate. He was winning games single-handedly. He's 23 years old. He's English. Like, this is a fucking amazing signing.
90 million quid. I don't know, mate.
Do you know what they're fucking doing for, like, we're wanting 90 million for Tonali, who's essentially a fucking ball chaser.
I know. Do you know what? And this is going to be a controversial thing that I'm sure Arsenal fans aren't going to love. I guess I saw us buy Eze last summer. And in Rodgers,
that's burned you, hasn't it? That's burned you?
It shouldn't have burned me because he's a brilliant player. Obviously the Spurs game's brilliant. You take those Spurs games away, he scored 4 goals. Now, they were very important goals. He beat Newcastle with one when we played at home in the springtime. He beat Palace. Great goal against Leverkusen in the Champions League. He also sat on the bench for about 10 weeks in the winter. And there's just a part of me with Rodgers that I'm a bit like, I've just got this tiny fear in my head of like, I don't know what we're going to do with him, and I'm not sure.
Is that Arteta related, though? Is that not because you just don't trust Arteta to do the right thing by attacking footballers and to get the best out of them?
Maybe a little bit, to be honest with you. And I've got to be honest, mate, this could sound like really childish and ridiculous. There is a part of me that's like, if you're going to throw 100 million quid at a player, what are we not knocking on Vinny Jr.'s door? A year left on a contract. He probably wants to leave Real Madrid. Like, is that not the level? And by the way, there's no guarantee that Vinny Jr. is any better for Arsenal than Morgan Rodgers is. I'm just like, 100 million quid used to be world-class guarantee.
Though? Is that what it is? Are you just wanting the sexy continental signing?
I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's about it being continental or anything like that. I don't know. Tell me if I'm being daft there. I just, 100 million quid used to be guaranteed, world-class, comes in, performs. Declan Rice, for example, there was never any doubt that was going to work. I haven't got the same feeling about a Morgan Rodgers that I do about Declan Rice. And maybe that's just the transfer window now.
Vinny Jr. in a team where his side constantly dominate games, he got 6 goals more than Morgan Rodgers. Morgan Rodgers playing for an Aston Villa side, which are, struggling against the PSR bullshit, overperforming. He was winning games single-handedly as well. Like, was it Man United where he just destroyed them on his own? And he's 2 years younger. And he already knows the Premier League. I don't see a way in which this isn't a good signing unless Arsenal ruin him by playing him out of position or.
I don't look. I'm not trying to shit on it, and it's like he's a great player.
Don't backtrack now. He's done your damage. Come on.
I don't know. Maybe it's a little bit. I've just got that slight fear, and don't get me wrong. There's a chance that he just goes in there, replaces Trossard on the left. He's as good as Saka is on the right, and it's gravy. But Josh, you're making faces as if
I just think the one that I'm thinking of that you need that is a proper left winger and can play there is Barcola, and I think you're going to get a way better deal with him than you would do otherwise with Morgan Rodgers. I personally think that Rodgers, and we've talked about Rodgers for Chelsea because we're stupid enough to believe that he could come to us, would be playing as a number 10, in a 5 at the back system alongside a Cole Palmer. That's what we've discussed about. I personally don't feel that I don't really want to be playing him as an out-and-out left winger. And I think your formation means that central area will get very crowded very quickly, especially if you play him out there. I think you've got to go for an out-and-out, chalk on the boots left winger that is out there, can whip balls in. And I think you've got to go for that profile. And I think you've also got to be I think you've got to be less obsessive about the physicality of the players, especially in those wide positions. Yeah. For you guys. So
renew a bit of interest for Mudryk. That's what I
Fucking he's available. Move on to Chelsea. Move on to Chelsea because we got to actually talk about you. Like you're losing Cucurella. You're also losing Enzo Fernandez by the looks of it. Both could be going to Real Madrid. One is definitely going. We'll get on to who you might be bringing in because Lewis Hall's talked about. We can get on to that in a minute. But just general thoughts quickly, lads, about what are you feeling seeing two of the main characters who have basically carried the side for a while now, moving towards the exit door? What is that like?
Good job they did leave, mate. I was going to sell him anyway. It's one of them ones, when your missus dumps it, I get in there first.
Lesbian.
Must be.
Enough about Garnacho. Come on now.
Listen, do you know what it is, right? I think that at the moment, as much as people can go, right, we've got this player that could go for 10, 15, this player that could go for 10, 15, that's brilliant. But I don't think any club really is going to be starting their window by looking at Disassis and Badiashils and Garnachos and players like that. So in terms of actually... And this will probably be a controversial one, but amongst Chelsea fans, right? In terms of actually coming in and giving Alonso a decent start at the same time as holding a little bit of understanding that whether we agree with it or not, which we definitely don't, they fucked themselves. Financially, they fucked themselves. Yeah. We haven't really got the money to spend. So if you want to look for market opportunities that might arise on deadline day, it's been done before, Cole Palmer, players like that, but it's not the most sensible way of doing things. If you want to get a bit of business done early. I think that looking at a Marc Cucurella and taking 5 million less than we paid, I think it'll work out at 28 years old. By the time he plays a game for Real Madrid, that might be a smart bit of business if you can reinvest it. I say in the right areas, just if you can reinvest it at all. If these two go and we don't reinvest it into the right areas, which I don't have any confidence that we will do, I think apart from what it might do to our financial worries, which we as the fans shouldn't really be worrying about, we're going to be left with a huge void on the pitch.
Question for Josh then, numbers wise, is this the first time in memory that you've gone into a summer where Chelsea are actually worried about finances? Because it seems like they've put themselves into an absolute disaster situation where Chelsea now, like Newcastle almost, are kind of becoming a feeder club.
Yeah, we're fucked. Like, totally financially, we're completely fucked. Like, we've not got any Champions League football. We don't have a front of shirt sponsor. The businessmen who, by the way, we're owned by people that are meant to be business people. They're in private equity. Apparently, they know what they're doing. They're not doing a very good job from that perspective. So the only crumb ray of comfort that I can take from this is that unlike some other clubs in the Premier League, we have saleable assets that we can generate, you know, let's, in Enzo's case, 100 million plus pounds from. And so what we are going to have to do is, yes, as you say, we are no longer the Bayern of the Premier League in terms of the way that we could boss people around, we can make transfers happen, we could get anyone we wanted. And in fact, if anyone else was interested in them, we would almost laugh at that because it was Chelsea and we could get the players in. It's the complete opposite way around now. We are the Borussia Dortmund. We're going to grow and develop players and then send them on their way when they want to actually achieve something. To be honest with you, both of them can go, you know, not necessarily with my blessing that they can go and enjoy and try and get what they need to out of Real Madrid. And quite frankly, now I want to try and replace them. They can go.
I love that halfway out the door. We're going anyway, John. But,
I'm not worried about it.
My blessing, yeah.
Do you know what I love? Do you know what I love, right, lads? I love the fact that Chelsea have spent so long admiring a club like Brighton that they've become Brighton. They're literally Brighton.
We're probably worse than Brighton.
Chelsea now are literally looking for those young players to develop to then sell them up the food chain. They love Brighton so much they just became them. Because I know that feels like, because that's exactly what's happened to my club right now. We're now fighting. We just lost to sign a player with Brighton, but we'll get on to that. Lewis Hall is one that you're looking at, lads. You obviously had him originally, sent him to us. We've developed him to some degree. Manchester United also really like him. We're hearing how much they like him all the fucking time, Newcastle fans. And one thing I do know from a source I have at the club, which I'll not reveal, is that Lewis Hall is unhappy. And this whole thing that there's been trying to play down, oh, there's been no fallout, you know, yada. He's not happy. He got dropped, right, at the most important point of the season. And when he'd been consistently outperforming most left-backs in the league, he'd pocketed Lamine Yamal, for fuck's sake. He gets dropped for a 33-year-old centre-back who can't play a left-back. And when people are trying to act like he wouldn't be unhappy about that. I mean, what planet are we on? And look, I don't know if that's exactly why he's unhappy. I just know he's unhappy. And that is the truth of the matter. I don't know the full details, but let's be real here. He lost out on his England spot after that happened. You don't have to connect the dots too hard. So right now, Chelsea versus Manchester United, how confident are you that you boys, force the move through?
I'm not confident. I think that sentimental value is what we've got to lean our hopes on, I suppose. Yeah. Lewis Hall came through the academy. There's still a couple of players in the likes of Reece James, Trevor Chalobah, maybe one or two I'm not thinking of that are still at the club. Yeah. There's a couple of mates. Do you know what though, bro? You could say that about Man United. You could say it about Mason Mount, who he's probably way closer to than some of those boys that are named there. So I think that the fact that there's an opening, the fact that it looks to a Lewis Hall like, look, you're going to come and walk straight into the first team, that could be something that persuades him. And I think that the fact that I do believe, and it can sound controversial because I think he did amazing things, but I believe that a lot of Premier League fans did want Michael Carrick to get given the job, non-Man United fans, which is weird. It's just a feeling. It's just a feeling that he may be a little bit underqualified. So I think that Paul Power, have we got a better manager? Yeah. Are we going to pay better wages? No, probably not. Definitely not, in fact. Is it going to go up as consistently as he might do on Man United's books? Probably not. So I think that sort of sentimental value or the feeling of wanting to scratch an itch that's been there a long time to say, hold on, no. I'm going to prove myself here, where you ripped me off and where you doubted me, that could be something that plays into things. But I've seen so many players like a Mark Gahey turn down that opportunity or snub their nose at it, that it doesn't make me think that just because we've had him before, we can get him again.
I think it's a financial issue, lads. There's a lot of debate right now in the Man United fan base of how much is Lewis Hall worth. Now, for me, what did you pay for Cucurella originally?
60.
Yeah.
All right, 60 odd million, right? In my head, because he's English, because of the ability he's shown both in defence and in attack, and because of the fact that when you sign him, you're getting your left back sorted for the next 10 years if you want. He's not injury prone. He's very good at all aspects of the game. I think 70 million in this market is the bare minimum because of how long we've got in his contract. I mean, we've got 3 years left. I think 70 million is the bare minimum we should be looking for as a Newcastle fan.
Yeah, well, we've got, I think it's something, if you had have sold him for 50 million, I read somewhere that Chelsea would have been getting about 30% of the sale or something like that. I never know with these things whether that can be like a bargaining token for actually buying them, saying, look, you're going to have to give us some money at some point anyway if you sell him. So, but I would think that if we do have some kind of sell-on clause, that something around the 60 million price, knowing that we've got that sell-on clause there anyway, which wouldn't necessarily be activated. He could run his contract down at Newcastle, but saying around that 60 million, that's what I'd be looking to pay. Obviously,
Joey, do you need it? Do Chelsea need it?
I think so.
And the key thing that Joey hasn't said is that these players don't want to come back to Chelsea because they've seen the inside of Chelsea Football Club. They know that it's being run by idiots. They know that they don't know what they're talking about. And the thing is that we can dream as Chelsea fans about bringing the gang back together, bringing Cobham FC to be what it was. It's never in a million years going to happen, because what every player at Chelsea Football Club Academy says right now is that they say, we had an unbelievable system, a talent factory run by Neil Bath, people that were incredibly intelligent and had been at the club for 20 plus years. And now it's being run by Joe Shields' mates.
Newcastle, right? Okay, this has become a real shit show again this summer. First, we lose out to Brighton on the new winger, the young kid who they've signed. Seemed quite an exciting prospect. You're thinking to yourself, we're Newcastle though, like Brighton are a good club. I'd like to think we were a bit ahead of them in the food chain, as we now come to call it. But no, apparently now we're not just getting blown out the water by your Chelsea, Man United, your Arsenals. We're now also getting beaten to the punch by Brighton. Respect the Brighton, by the way. They've earned that position, and no disrespect meant. And now we've dithered on Victor Munoz from Osasuna for weeks now. We apparently had a deal agreed weeks ago. We terms agreed with the player, and I'm thinking, like, what the fuck is the fucking hold up? Like, why are we not just closing this deal? And apparently it was, well, we don't want to pay the release fee. The release fee was 40 million euros. We want to get a few million knocked off. So we're dithering, we're haggling, we're fucking, and then last night, boom, out of fucking nowhere, Liverpool, pay the release fee, do the deal, get the medical done in America, boom, player signed. And I'm like, you know what, you lot, you're fucking amateurs. And like the Newcastle press, right? They're releasing statements about Newcastle. They just don't know what happened. They're having a meeting today to try and figure out what happened. I'm like, well, we all know what happened. The same thing that happens every time. We tell everyone, well, we're interested in a player, and then the whole fucking world goes, oh, Newcastle are interested. Well, we'll take a look at him. And then the sharks start swelling. We need to get deals done quickly. And we just have not learned anything from last season outside of make sure you sell a player quicker. But like buying players, we're taking forever on. So that's been a really humiliating moment for the club, and one that the fans, who are already not in a great mood, and given that we've lost out on a player to Brighton, now this, then you have to look at that horrible kit next season. And then you got to realise that not just Anthony Gordon's out the door to Barcelona, which I don't really mind, but Tonali's now going. And it was bad enough that we were accepting he was probably going to go, but then you hear Spurs, a club who finished 17th 2 fucking seasons in a row, like, we're beneath them in the food chain as well. And it kind of calls into question the entire project when you hear that. Like, they're a more attractive proposition with De Zerbi. They feel more exciting, than we do. But also they're now battling Manchester City for Tonali. I'm not really sure what the price is going to be. thoughts on that deal if he does go to Spurs? Apparently Arsenal are also interested, Jacob. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to do... I mean, if I was a Newcastle fan, I think what would be frustrating me is the fact that Tonali is so keen to be united with De Zerbi at Spurs. And it's less about, look, you've missed out on Victor Munoz. He's going to go to Liverpool. There's other players, right? The fact that you stuck with Eddie Howe when a manager like De Zerbi went to Spurs, do you not look at that and go, if the owners and the people in charge of that football club were a bit more ambitious, rather than just going, you can have another year, Eddie, that guy who's got that pull is at your club. And you know, Tonali's already there, but what about other players who'd be excited to work? I mean, how excited was Victor Munoz to work under Eddie Howe when he's just gone to Liverpool instead? Obviously, Liverpool are in a very different place as a club, but like, this must be, I don't know why it's not ringing alarm bells for the people at Newcastle of like, this guy's lost his pull.
You've nailed it. Newcastle actually played Marseille early in the Champions League, and he tactically fucked Eddie, like many managers did last season. And the staleness of the project, I think it screams how stale everything has become at Newcastle when a Tonali will look at a team that's finished 17 2 seasons running and going, I think they're headed in a better trajectory than Newcastle right now. That should be screaming. And people can be like, oh, well, he wants to live in London or whatever. Yeah, maybe a little bit of that, but come on, like, players care about where they play and they don't want to go to a dead-end club. And he's clearly saying Spurs is a more attractive club, and that calls into question every single thing that the higher-ups at Newcastle are telling the fans about. By 2030, we want to compete for titles when we haven't got the training ground sorted, we haven't got a new stadium even beginning to be built. All of the things that we were promised, none of it's happening. And if anything, I feel like the kind of players we're aiming for, it's going down in quality, not up. We're actually punching lower the longer we're with Eddie. And this is kind of a big fuck you to all of the fans who, you know, called me out saying that I was wrong to call out Eddie. All you lot supporting Eddie and this mediocrity that he is, you know, pumping into the club and the way he plays. Well, this is where it gets you. It takes you backwards in every single way, in league position, in ability to bring players in players who want to be. Do you think players are looking at the way Eddie Howe treated Lewis Hall and the way that ended up for him with that England squad going, that's the guy I want to trust my career with? When we sign a Nick Voltemora for 70 million and he is removed from his main position within 15 games, he's then rotting on the bench for the majority of the season, if not playing in defensive central midfield, for fuck's sake. Who wants to trust, when a manager spent the biggest transfer fee from a club's history ever, who wants to trust their future when you know he doesn't care how much he spends on you? That's not going to give you any reassurance that you're going to keep playing. There's no security in Eddie Howe because he is so safety first, and more importantly, he only cares about himself. He's so scared of losing games that he'll make crazy decisions. So that's where Newcastle are at now. We're at it's the owner's fault for not making more ambitious, more drastic, more ballsy decisions. And now we're paying the price. We'll leave it on that. Big love to the boys. Big thank you. It's been a good chat. We'll do a catch up after the next England game or whatever.
Come on, England.
Let us know what you think's going to happen, lads, in the comments below. Make sure you get your chalkboards out for those water breaks and enjoy some good analysis. I'll catch you on the next one.